Woo, looky here, we got another walleye. Welcome to another edition of Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table. And today we have all these walleye. Walleye is one of those really good eating fish. And today we're going to make baked Parmesan walleye. Let's head on back to the house. Outdoorsmen have been providing fresh food for American family tables for generations. Hunting and fishing is a way of life for our family, and we enjoy cooking delicious fish and game meals. We want to share our recipes with you. This week we are making baked Parmesan walleye, a low-fat alternative to deep-fried fish. Our sides include seasoned new potatoes and a spinach salad with fresh picked raspberries. This is Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table. Hey everyone, got some walleye here. Boy, the fishing this spring out in our local lakes has been fantastic for walleye. And I love eating walleye. It's probably one of my favorite fish to eat. Today I thought it might be kind of fun on a Sunday to make lunch for my family using all this great walleye that we have. Today we're going to make baked Parmesan walleye. We're going to broil some new potatoes with some of our seasoning. Vicky's going to make a great spinach raspberry salad, and she's also going to make a rhubarb cake. So I'm really looking forward to making this meal for my family, and so I'm going to go ahead and start preparing this. And like always, I like to hit my knife here on the Work Sharp combo sharpener. So I'm going to do that real quick. It's real important to have a sharp knife. Just a couple quick passes. One time over the ceramic. There we go. Walleye is a very mild fish, but like all fish, right here there's some brown fat, and that's where the fishy flavor is, so you really want to get that out. Easy way to do that is simply just cut right along that little vein of where that fat is on both sides. These fillets are fairly large anyway, so I'm going to want to cut them down to size. And so usually what I end up doing is just kind of cutting them in half. Once you got that brown meat, we just sort of peel it out. And by the way, some of the bones that might still be in your fillet come out when you do that as well. So I'm just going to cut these into some easy sizes for people to eat. There's lots of different ways to cook walleye. You know, probably when most people think of eating these freshwater fishes like this, they think of a fish fry, and that's a great way to eat walleye. But what I like to do in this case is make something kind of healthy. Less oil, and this is a great way to fix walleye. I think you're really going to like it. Okay, I've got my last piece here. Kind of comes out like a zipper. Because it won't take very long to cook this fish, what I'm going to do at this time is I'm just going to set all of this aside. Go ahead and prepare the breading for it, but not cook it. And I'm going to give my hands a quick wash. There we go. And so the breading for the Parmesan walleye is very simple. What we have here is we'll build ourselves a dredging station. The recipe includes 1/3 cup of breadcrumbs or panko, 1/3 cup of instant mashed potatoes, and then 1/3 cup of our Parmesan fish seasoning. So I'm just going to pour a little bit in here, kind of get an idea of how much that is. This seasoning is kind of an all-in-one. It has garlic and onions and all kinds of great flavors in it. And you just mix that up. It smells wonderful. And the final stage of this is we'll break some eggs on a pan. We'll make a little dredging station, and then we'll just coat them with that. Okay, I'm just going to move these over and work on our potatoes. So I've got some nice new potatoes here, and basically all I'm going to do is cut these up and put them in the broiler. Works really well. You just have a little paring knife, and you kind of want to cut off some of the bad spots. Then simply cut the potatoes up into kind of bite-sized pieces. Take your paring knife and just give them a little slice here and there. About that size. You don't really only want them about 1 inch or so. Just put them in the bowl. And once we get them all cut up, we're going to add a little oil and some seasoning. Coming up after the break, I meet with Bob Loomis at Max Lure to learn about walleye fishing gear. I finish cutting up our potatoes and get them into the oven, and the walleye are ready for the Parmesan coating. Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table is brought to you by Work Sharp Knife and Tool Sharpener, Miklich, the Spokane Spice Company, Harrod Outdoors online store. This is Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table. All right, well, we've come down here to Max Lure in Wenatchee, Washington to learn a little bit about how they make the great walleye lures that we use to catch the walleye we're cooking with today. And I've got Bob Loomis here. And Bob, I was just real curious to know, how do you come up with some of these lures that we use for all the fish that we caught?
Well, here at Max Lure, we've got a lot of different types of tools to play with, or we've got all sorts of different colors of beads and product. Well, everything is a little different throughout a season, but the number one thing for walleye, like what we're talking about right now, is to create some type of forage base, something that they're feeding on. So you go to different colors, different styles, different sizes, and it changes throughout the season. Sometimes early in the year you'll want a shorter, smaller profile because that's when the bait fish hatched and that's the size of what they're feeding on. Therefore, you're going to catch more fish. Later in the season, you got to go to a larger, narrower profile in order to create a type of bait that's going to be just like what they're feeding on.
So when you come up with one of these new products, you just try different component parts. And one thing I know is it's like a kid in a candy store down here with all the different parts you have, and particularly the smile blades. You guys have so many different colors.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And that's the neat thing about it. Like I said, you could take a lure that we can go out and do okay on and catch fish on, but just by changing one bead color on that can make the difference of catching one fish or catching 15 fish.
Right.
Which means that it goes from a really good, decent bait to a really, really good bait.
Right.
And it's just a matter of doing a little bit of playing around, and that's one thing that we do quite a bit of is tweaking and playing and coming up with the different colors, whether it's trying to match a perch pattern color or what it is.
That's a lot of fun. Well, thanks so much for making great lures. We caught a lot of fish on the stuff that you guys made, and now we're cooking it up today. We're making a baked Parmesan walleye. So.
Oh, perfect, my favorite.
Yeah. All right, let's head on back to the kitchen. I'm back from Max Lure. Boy, I really love going down there to see how they make all those great lures that we use. So I've got everything back out. I'm gonna go ahead and finish my lunch. So I have all the potatoes cut up in a bowl. All I'm gonna do is add a little bit of vegetable oil so that it doesn't stick to my pan. And then one thing that we found was we really like our game bird and chicken seasoning on potatoes. So I'm just gonna put some in there. It's just got a nice smoky flavor. It tastes really good on the potatoes. I'm just gonna mix that up. So just kind of give them a light coating. Oh man, it smells good. You guys are gonna love that. And then all we do is put it on a baking pan, like a cookie sheet. We just wanna spread these out. Like I say, they have the oil on them so they won't stick. So we'll just spread these out kind of as best we can evenly all over the pan. The seasoning will smell great as they're cooking. Okay, we're gonna get these started because it'll take a little longer than the fish. So I'm gonna put these right in the oven. These potatoes will cook at 350 for about 20 minutes. And we'll start working on our dredging station for our fish. So here's my walleye cut up from earlier. And basically what you wanna do is, like I say, is just set up a little dredging station. And you'll see the one ingredient that I was missing before are eggs. So you take 3 eggs, you break them in a bowl. You'll notice I'm using a pie plate. And the reason I'm using a pie plate is that it is kind of nice and wide and it makes it easier for me to dredge. So you just take these and you beat them up. There we go. And the order is going to be, we're going to take the fish, we're going to roll them in the eggs. This is kind of a messy job. Roll them in our panko, potato flake, and Parmesan fish seasoning, just like that, and we'll just put them on the tray. That's all there is to it. Pretty easy. I'll just work on finishing all these and getting them on the tray. Got my last piece here. Go ahead and finish it up, and I'm gonna get these walleye into the oven, and we come back from the break. Vicky's gonna work on her raspberry spinach salad. Coming up after the break, Vicky makes a fresh spinach salad topped with fresh raspberries picked from our garden. Then she makes an old-fashioned rhubarb cake with crisp, fresh picked rhubarb. Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table is brought to you by Worksharp Knife and Tool Sharpener, Micklich, the Spokane Spice Company, Harrod Outdoors online store. This is Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table.
Welcome back. Richie got the walleye in the oven. It's going to cook at about 350 for 15 to 20 minutes or so. And while that's cooking, I'm going to whip up a little raspberry salad. So I have my mixed greens here. I just gave them a quick wash. I'm going to take some pecans and chop them up quickly, add some feta cheese, and then I'll make my poppy seed dressing to go along top. Let's give them a real quick chop so they're not quite so big. I love pecans. You could use walnuts as well, either one is just fine. So I'll put those on my salad. And then some feta cheese. I'm going to break this up just a little bit more. A quick rinse. Now we'll make the dressing. Take a half a cup of olive oil. I like to put it in a jar so I can just shake it up and mix it that way. And then 3 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar. Tablespoon here, 2 tablespoons of honey, and then 1 tablespoon of poppy seeds. And then what I like to do is I like to just put a lid on it and give it a good shake. Get everything incorporated, and then that will go on top of our dressing. Last thing I need is some raspberries. I'm going to head out to the garden and get those right now. She's so happy. They're so happy. It's so nice to have these raspberries. Right after we built the house, we decided we wanted some berries, so we planted these raspberries, and a little overgrown this year, but we sure love picking them and eating them fresh. Well, I got my raspberries from the garden, so I'll just dump those into the salad here. Oh, those look so good. It's so fun to grow our own fruit. And then I've got my dressing, and I'll mix it up again before I put it on, and I'll do that right before we eat. Well, it looks like Richie kind of cleaned up and got me ready to get started on my rhubarb cake, so let's get going on that. Okay, here is all my stuff. First of all, nothing better than a stand mixer. I love this thing. It's been well used. What we do is we start out with a half a cup of shortening. Put that in. Then a cup and a half of brown sugar. Then I get that mixing. Great. Add an egg. I kind of let that mix a little bit. Let me just go. Okay, here comes the fun part. I take some baking soda, a teaspoon of baking soda, and put it in a cup of sour cream and mix that up. And you'll notice it will start to get a little bubbly. Okay, I'll put in the sour cream mixture and 2 cups of flour, and then I'll get started cutting my rhubarb. Okay, I'll get my rhubarb cut up. And what I like to do, these are nice big stalks, so I usually cut them at least in half so they're a little bit smaller. They cook up a little nicer. I just cut it right down the middle. Then, it's a little fibrous, so it takes a nice, good, sharp knife. I'll continue to cut my rhubarb, and when we come back, we'll get this cake all finished up.
Coming up after the break, Vicki puts the chopped rhubarb into the cake batter, spreads the batter in a baking pan, and covers with a sweet topping ready for baking. We take our delicious meal to the patio to enjoy family time, the beautiful weather, and of course, the rhubarb dessert. Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table is brought to you by Worksharp Knife and Tool Sharpener, Micklich, the Spokane Spice Company, Harrod Outdoors online store. This is Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table.
Welcome back. I got my rhubarb all cut up, and now I'm going to add it to my batter and put it in my pan. I don't use the KitchenAid to do that because it kind of breaks the rhubarb down more than I like, and it's not really the best thing to do with your mixer. So I already have a pan all ready to go with some nonstick spray so it doesn't stick. It's kind of a thick batter, but that's what makes it good. Lots of rhubarb in there, it doesn't want to stick to the pan. All right, and then the very last thing is I've mixed up some cinnamon sugar and a little bit of melted butter just to sprinkle right on top for a nice cinnamony sugary crust on the top of the cake. Put it in the oven for about 35 to 40 minutes at 350 degrees and it will be delicious. Okay, we're going to get this in the oven, and while this is cooking, we're going to get everything ready to eat.
We pulled our baked Parmesan Walleye out of the oven. It's been baking at 350 for about 15 minutes, right before Vicki's delicious rhubarb cake went in. I'm just going to take them off the tray here and plate them on this so we can get ready to take them outside to enjoy the nice afternoon. You know, when I'm cooking walleye, I just can't help but think about the great times that we have when we go out to Banks Lake and these other places in central Washington to walleye fish. They're pretty hard fish to catch, and so when you get some, it's pretty exciting, especially since they taste so good.
Huh? Maybe we finally got a keeper.
Oh,
Good fish.
just feels like dead weight right now. Hey.
Hey,
Yeah.
now we're talking.
That's that dark green.
Dark green. In our family, the count of packages in the freezer is kind of a closely kept secret because they're such good eating fish.
It is, and that's only 11. 12.
Oh, these look really good. It's such a simple recipe. There's not a whole lot to it, but it really tastes very, very good. All right. Well, got all those all there, and I'll take these out to the table. All right, here's some walleye. It's good, doesn't it?
Yeah, really good.
Like most outdoor activities, fishing is a great way for family to spend time together, enjoying each other's company and providing a delicious, healthy food source for the table. Looks good.
Oh, jeez.
Holy smokes. And so ends another journey from field to table. Thanks for watching this episode of Harrod's Cookhouse Field to Table. Be sure to stay tuned for upcoming episodes of more wild game recipes. Head on over to our website to find the recipes. Also, buy our seasonings so you can make your own. You can find us on Facebook at Harrod's Cookhouse. We'd love to see photos of the food that you've cooked as well.